You're listening to the Labor Notes Podcast, our weekly show on rank and file news and organizing tactics. I'm Natasha Laney-Ullman, a staff writer at Labor Notes.
I'm Danielle Smith, an organizer at Labor Notes. Today we're talking about some of the ways to have good one-on-one conversations that will move your coworkers closer to the bullseye.
Yeah, you might know the bullseye as the classic Labor Notes visual to help organizers think about their coworkers' varying levels of support for the union. At the center, you have the organizing members, then the activists and supporters are on the next layers, and the disengaged and hostile are further still.
It basically helps us understand our coworkers' orientation and relationship to the union so that we can figure out the best ways to bring them closer to the center. We get into this more in our recent Secrets of a Successful Organizer series on the podcast. We've linked those episodes in the description. Natasha, do you want to give us a summary of our one-on-one strategies?
Yeah, sure. So we start by being super apologetic to our coworkers for taking up their time, and then we ask them to give us a wish list of everything they want from the union. And then we tell them they can probably just mentally check out while they wait for the bargaining committee to come back and deliver the demands they ordered. Is that right?
Yeah, but I think you forgot the part about assuring people that they won't have to do any actions that feel scary if they really don't want to.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Is this what you guys do all day? Just crack yourselves up at your own jokes?
Oh my gosh, our wonderful coworker, Sarah Hughes, who is on the training team, is here with us today. Sarah can help break down what effective one-on-one conversations with our coworkers look like that don't involve becoming their union personal assistants.
I'm so happy to be back.
So yeah, we're talking today about one-on-one conversations. And this is a bit of a continuation of our Secrets series, as Danielle mentioned earlier. Because having one-on-ones is such a big part of how we beat apathy, identify and recruit leaders, and turn our organizing issues into winning campaigns.
Sarah, do you want to set the stage here? What is a one-on-one? What do we think of as the goals of these conversations? And how do we know when it's actually working?
Great question. We talk about a one-on-one as a conversation we have with our coworkers, but it's shorthand for a lot of things, actually. And really what we want to do is think about how we're setting up a relationship with people. So there are lots of different ways to have a one-on-one and they serve different purposes. But ultimately, the most important thing is that we're thinking about it as having a face-to-face conversation with a coworker in order to start getting to know them better and developing trust and an actual connection with them. It's not meant to be a sales pitch. It's not meant to be just purely a mobilization tool. It's not one thing that will launch you into the next step of your campaign. It's simply a building block for a lot of those things, and different versions of it will play a different role depending on what you're doing with your union at the time. So a one-on-one can play a lot of different roles, but they might have a lot of similar elements depending on what you're using it for. A few things you might want to keep in mind. One, you want your coworker to realize that they care about a problem, and you want to learn about what those problems and issues are. Two, you want them to think about the system that problem is a part of and who's responsible for that system. Who is the decision maker that set it up to be so? Three, you want them to understand that decision maker probably won't fix it unless pushed to. And four, that you want people to realize if they want a problem fixed, they're going to have to join you and your other coworkers in taking action.
Okay, I think I get it now. So we're learning how to manipulate our coworkers into doing the things that we want them to do.
No, this isn't about mind control, but it is about building a relationship. There's a lot of different ways that we have these one-on-ones. They might serve a lot of different purposes. So for instance, you might be a member who is trying to get to know the other people in their department. Maybe you're a new steward and you have a list of people that you're representing and you're trying to get to know what their issues are and find what a campaign is that we should pick up, that people care about. It might be that you are trying to recruit other leaders. You might have heard that someone is influential in the workplace, that people trust and respect them, and you want to talk to them about joining some sort of leadership role, whether it's a role on an organizing committee, a contract action team, to join as a steward or a delegate or building rep or something like that. You might have a one-on-one to, encourage people to get involved in a particular campaign or find out if it's a campaign that would interest them to help bring them a step closer in the bullseye in a different way. Maybe just from like disengaged to supporter, for instance. You might have one when you're trying to turn people out. These are more like mobilizing ones, but trying to turn people out to a particular action because you need a bunch of members to make it powerful. Also, we say one-on-one, but that's not to say it can't be a meeting with a small group of people or a one-on-two, or maybe you're going with another person and it's a two-on-one. It's not meant to be sort of overly prescriptive to make it so that it's awkward, but it is meant to help us think about how we're connecting with people in relationship building ways. So those are some of the maybe scenarios you would use to have a one-on-one. Should we try one out?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So in this one, I'll be the organizer and, Danielle will, you're my coworker.
Okay.
We'll try that out. Okay. Hey, Danielle, do you have a minute? I was hoping to just kind of pick your brain about some things, around, I'm a union rep and I, wanted to catch you for a few minutes about it if you had time.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's just a few minutes, because I really have to finish the story I'm working on.
Yeah. Are you feeling the crunch these days? I know I feel like the pressure is on.
It's actually crazy. I feel like I end up working late every single day. I just I don't know. I'm just, I don't know, just trying to get through it.
To what end? I mean, is there a break in sight?
Oh my God. I guess not. I mean, I guess I'm, oh my God, that's such a good question. No, I guess I just try to get through every day and hopefully don't end up, working too late.
Ugh, yeah, that's not great for my life. I don't know about you, but I feel like I used to have friends and hobbies and.
No, I mean, even with the 30 minutes of trailers at AMC, I'm still constantly late to the movie.
Devastating. But truly though, that sucks. Do you feel like it was always like that? I mean, you've been here a couple of years, right? Do you feel like it's changed?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's even though management's saying that there aren't quotas, it's so clear that they expect us to write a certain number of stories every day. And I think we had kind of pushed back and they stopped for a while, but then it's they think just because they're not saying that in writing that it's not a problem. But it's clearly something that they're trying to do.
Is this something, which department are you in again?
Yeah, I'm on the general assignment reporting team.
Is this something you guys talk about a lot?
I mean, yeah, it's every happy hour. It's just us screaming about this for 2 hours.
Yeah, these fake quotas that are clearly there, but they're unspoken. And so people feel like they can't address them directly, or how would you describe it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of we all are I think most of us are hoping to get promoted to senior reporter at some point. And I think there's sort of this idea of you don't want to seem like you can't do it because then it's oh, are you doing a bad job? You should be able to report your stories fast enough. But it's in reality, I don't think any of us are doing it. I think we're all just working late.
Where do you think this change started from? Is it from your managing editor, or is that just
no, it's definitely the editor in chief who just looks at story numbers and nothing else,
Yeah. What have you guys tried to bring this up with anyone, any of the editors, anyone in the hierarchy? To say this is unsustainable, has anyone sort of tried to think about pushing back?
No, I mean it's just what they want to do, so I don't really know what pushing back would do.
Do you feel like you can keep working at this pace? Is this something that you could?
No, I mean I'm applying
yourself
to other jobs every single day.
Oh, oh wow. Do you think that's true for your coworkers too?
I mean, I just sort of assume so, but there's not really a lot of journalism jobs out there, but just hoping.
So it's not a great job market. People want to keep working here, or they did. This used to be a place people wanted to work. People are frustrated. It seems like that's shared. I don't know. Do you feel like how would you feel about bringing people together to see if people wanted to, maybe at the next happy hour, we say, should we talk about this issue and see if there's something that we could, I don't know, think about bring it up in a labor management meeting?
I mean, no, that's a good idea. Like it didn't even, I don't know, it just didn't even occur to me that like we should be trying to address this. But honestly, like I am kind of like the happy hours, they're getting kind of tedious. Like we just talk about the same thing. So like I'm kind of down to maybe see if there's like something we can do besides just like talking about it at happy hour again and again and again.
That's tough. Right. And it's like, I hear that people don't want to be seen as the people who can't do the work. Do you think if we were able to do something together that it's like maybe take some of the pressure off of that? If it's everyone who's sort of like can't find that pace sustainable.
Yeah, no, that I think that's smart. Like I think if it's like if we're all saying we can't do it, then they can't try to just, make it seem like you're a bad worker or whatever.
Right.
And it's clearly just like impacting everyone.
Do you organize the happy hours or who does that?
Oh yeah, I do. You don't see my like fun emails I send out with like the
Oh.
gifts and stuff every Friday?
Oh, right. No, of course, of course. No, I love those emails. Yeah, and it seems like there's a great turnout. Like people really, people seem to really enjoy the happy hours.
Yeah. No, they're great.
It seems like you're someone who people really look to for like the person they go to get connected with things at work.
Oh my God, that's so nice to say. I mean, I never thought of it that way. I just, I like to have fun or, whatever.
Absolutely. It also seems like you really care about your coworkers, you know the contract well, and it seems like you're good at pulling people together. I've noticed your department hasn't had a steward in a little bit. Have you ever thought about taking on that role? Have you ever done any of the sort of contract enforcement stuff?
I mean, no. I mean, like you said, we haven't had a steward, so I guess I didn't really know what they did, but like that's what you are?
That's what I'm doing, and I think it's great. I'm already kind of doing this work anyway. Like I'm already the person people come to with questions. It sounds like you're already that person too. Would you want to just, would you come to a steward meeting with me and see if it's something that might interest you?
Yeah, I think I'm down. And like at the stewards meeting, could I bring up this idea of maybe talking about the quotas at happy hour and see what people think?
Absolutely. I think that'd be a great place to workshop it. And I'll come to the happy hour this week and we can raise it with folks and see if people are down to take another step.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm actually glad I like took some time to talk with you. This is kind of nice.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And I'll see you on Friday. We've got a plan. And the steward, I'll send you the invite for the next steward meeting.
Okay, cool. See ya.
I got really into that.
I know. I'm so excited to go to happy hour and become a steward.
Hopefully what you see is asking the right questions, being attentive, and responding with follow-up questions. You want to draw someone out on what they're sharing and lay their experiences out on the table. You want to ask follow-up questions and really listen to understand, not just wait for someone to stop talking so you can like fill them in on what's happening with the union. People don't often realize that the ways their work conditions are affecting their lives are actually worth saying out loud, and let alone solving them. It can feel just like getting wrapped up in complaining. But a good one-on-one brings those experiences to the surface by encouraging your coworker to name them to someone they're starting to trust and respect, which is you. And then they can be ready for the next step, which is doing something about it. What are some questions you both have found useful in building your coworkers' understanding and confidence about addressing an issue? And by the same token, what kinds of questions do you want to avoid?
Maybe I'll take questions I found constructive, and Natasha, you can take questions that might lead to less hopeful responses.
Sounds great. I already have some real clunkers ready to go.
So I like to start with questions that help me understand what someone's work is like. What does an average day look like for you? What are some issues you often run into? Do you feel like you have a sense of what coworkers on your team are doing and experiencing, or do you all feel cut off from each other? And that helps us then get into questions to understand what this person cares about. And like we say in our Secrets of a Successful Organizer training, apathy isn't real and everyone cares about something. Our job in a one-on-one is to learn what that is. So I would ask, is there anything you would like to see change or improve, and why? If they mention a pain point that you know others on the shop floor are also experiencing, you can say that too. Like, hey, did you know so-and-so has talked about having the same concern? Or I've been hearing a lot of people having the same issue lately. It helps people to learn that the thing they care about is valid and that there might be support in the workplace to organize around it. And if you're not sure if it's a pain point in the shop floor, you can also ask them if they know other people who are experiencing the same issue. And that can even help them realize that while they haven't thought about it, once again, they aren't alone. And then finally, we get into questions that orient us towards strategy and action. Like, what do you think will help us win this change? Who do you think we should talk to change things? What do you think will get them to listen to us? These kinds of questions get the member thinking about actions, but they also help bring them in to controlling the process for trying to figure out the solutions. And they'll realize that they can do something about things and even win on them if they do it in solidarity with their coworkers who feel the same way. And then also, if a member expresses hesitation to participate in an action, there are questions you can ask to understand why, and maybe even help move them past their fear or other reservations. Maybe someone says to you that they don't want to participate in an action because they don't think it will work, but you suspect that they're actually saying it because they're worried about retaliation. You can't get to the heart of that without asking some gently probing questions and helping them visualize what solidarity looks like. For instance, what makes you say or think it won't work? And how do you think it will feel when 50 of us march up to the boss and make him hear our testimonials about this issue without being able to dismiss us?
I think this is huge. It reminds me of when we're doing the Secrets of a Successful Organizer training. We introduce the one-on-one conversation right after we're talking about how the boss keeps us disorganized. And that's intentional because we want to be thinking about like, what are the things that keep us from coming together in our workplace to solve our problems? And we talk about fear and confusion, division and hopelessness, and how we can't overcome those difficult, demobilizing feelings without, connecting with people in a human way. You can't help someone overcome fear by reading a flyer. You can't help someone, feel less confused by sending them like an extremely long email. Usually that's like not usually the path in. I like going into these conversations with that perspective, which is like, I'm trying to help organize in a place where I know people are being disorganized. And how does that help me approach a conversation with curiosity and with helping to try and like introduce some of these strategic questions? Because ultimately we want our coworkers to become more skilled in sort of the political analysis of our workplace and the power analysis of our workplace and sort of who is controlling these things and why and how should it be. So it helps to connect the experiences our people are telling you with some of these like power analysis and the patterns. For example, why are you getting injured at work more often lately? Is that because you're not hitting the gym enough, but actually it's because they're increasing the line speeds and the quotas at work? And that's not just you. Maybe some of you are always getting slotted into the more grueling shifts. A good one-on-one can also get your coworker thinking about having one-on-ones with their own, with others dealing with the same problem. I think of a story that came up in one secrets training, a nurse who was talking about how her biggest problem at work was this other nurse who was late all the time. And this was her number one issue. And it was sort of like, we dug into it a little bit more because I was sort of like, well, surely like one other coworker is not the defining issue of work. That's not a union issue, to have like one late coworker. It's not a union response to deal with a late coworker. But when we actually dug into it, it turned out the problem with her coworker being late a lot was that they were so short staffed that having one late coworker meant that it just like threw off, it made her late. It meant that like things couldn't operate in the workplace. It was unsafe and it was grueling for people to like have to work extra to cover for this person. And when we were able to like understand what the roots were of that frustration with this other coworker, which is that they were just running at such a stretched thin pace that one person could throw off the balance so much, then we're able to pivot to, okay, well then the problem is not this one late person who maybe has like legitimate reasons for being late, right? Maybe there's like a disability or a childcare issue or whatever it may be, transportation issues. But then it becomes, oh, our boss makes us run on such short staff that like we're pitted against each other for, to even be able to like have a balanced work day. And when we're able to reform the issue of like, okay, actually short staffing is your problem. And actually a lot of people are experiencing that. Then that becomes a more solvable issue than just like, this asshole's always late.
That is such a great example of how like getting to the root of the problem in these conversations helps to depersonalize them. So it goes from like, I'm just having a hard time because something I did or didn't do, or in that example, something my coworker did, to like really identifying why that's happening in the first place to you and others. And then that gets you closer to identifying who is responsible for making it happen and others you can talk to, just like you were saying. And It's like we say in our handout, if someone made the decision that caused this mess, that someone could also unmake it.
Now, as promised, some less empowering questions. Here's one. Tell me what you think the bargaining committee should do. This sounds like you're trying to engage a member on bargaining, but really you might be inadvertently training the member to think of their role as being to look on from afar and advise the bargaining committee on strategy, and end up thinking of the bargaining committee as being there to serve them and enact their demands. What you need to help them understand is that the bargaining committee can only go as far as membership's power allows them to do. Another type of question that seems like you're trying to understand the member's needs, but to me misses the mark. Do you feel like this counter from the boss that doesn't give us what we asked for is fine? The reason this isn't great is that you don't want to be surveying members constantly about the boss's counters. You want to start from a place of, here is what we need to have a healthy workplace where we have a voice. Then we move to, and how we get there is by building power with our coworkers. Not everyone individually weighing in about whether they personally could live with some compromise or other that's being pushed by the boss as part of their own strategy to beat the union into submission. We talked about this earlier, but another thing worth noting is how much it matters to build trust as a foundation to a good one-on-one. Hopefully you already have some sort of pre-existing relationship with this coworker or have laid some sort of groundwork.
Do you both have thoughts on steps to build trust with coworkers?
Maybe even small things like basic communications discipline, being prompt with reaching out and replying to them, providing reliable and timely information on the contract or bargaining, or even just things happening at work, and working on looking for answers together when you don't have them all. Because really, none of us always have the answers.
Yeah, and maybe also just showing that you're someone they can count on to bring them into the union's activities and discussions, that you can direct them to things they can do and connect them with others. And also be open and honest with them. People can really tell when you're being phony and they won't trust you.
Sometimes you're not the right person to talk to everyone. It's worth noting, who are you connecting with? And maybe you're not the right person to connect with everyone, and you can figure out who else to ask to take on that work.
Yeah, I think that's right. And really, if you just jump into a meaty conversation from day one, people may be more guarded.
Right. The type of one-on-one conversation you're having with someone matters. You don't want your first conversation with someone to be about signing a strike pledge. Though, honestly, sometimes life does just end up working out that way. But you really want to be mindful of where your relationship is with the person and how that might impact the conversation you're having and the kinds of questions you're going to need to ask.
Okay, I've got an urgent question for you two. Are you a Hui truthers or AEIOU respecters?
So I'm personally a follower of BAH, that's B-A-H, an acronym I made up that stands for Be a Human. As I was explaining earlier, or as I was saying earlier, it's important to be ourselves and genuine and not act like we're robots or salespeople. At the same time, we do have a goal with these conversations. They're not just venting or griping conversations. And there are these acronyms and frameworks that can be really helpful for thinking about what we're trying to help people move through when we're having one-on-ones. So transparently, I was trained on AEIOU. That stands for agitate, educate, inoculate, organize. And then I think it's very fun. The U is union.
I was wondering if you were going to do the arms.
People wouldn't be able to see it on the podcast.
You can imagine Danielle doing that.
Does that just mean at the end you magically have a union, or what is the?
I think it's like, and oh my God, I feel like there's like some AEIOU professionals going to come out and get me. But like, I always interpreted it as like you in the union, like you have brought this person into the union through this conversation. So maybe I shouldn't laugh at it. Okay, Sarah, what about you?
I like it. I didn't learn any fun acronyms at first. I just learned like a step-by-step, and it was very stressful because it was like there weren't any fun mnemonic devices. And it was very stressful to be trying to robotically remember them as I went out organizing. So I remember that trauma. Sometimes at labor notes and in our trainer's guide, we'll talk about a HUI, which isn't all that different from AEIOU. It's just maybe a little shorter for people like me who can't remember all the steps. And it stands for anger, hope, urgency, and then U, the anger being like helping to agitate folks, hope being like let's make a plan or figure out how we're connecting. The urgency, I think, is just about trying to help people like feel that there's a sense of like, we should act on this now. Like, let's make a plan, that it's not just something theoretical we're talking about. And then the you would be the follow-up piece. But I really kind of came to this feeling after doing a lot of organizing trainings as a union staffer, where it felt like we could train people on this all day long, but if we weren't encouraging people to go out and do it with us right away, then people were too hung up on getting it wrong to actually go out and talk to each other. So I started to kind of veer the totally other way and be like, I actually don't care at all what steps you use. I think you should just go to a coworker and be like, hi, I'm getting involved with our union. What matters to you? And that to me was just so much more important, was just people like going out and starting to build relationships with each other and do that 80-20 listening we talk about, the 80% listening, the 20% talking, which is the like ideal ratio in a one-on-one, we often say, and that would just be so much more useful than trying to get these steps right, was just taking that initial step to get over the awkwardness of talking to people about something that, you know, maybe they're not used to talking about. So, you know, basically, however you're doing these conversations, whether you're thinking about an acronym or you're trying to just go out and connect with a coworker, you should be discovering issues by asking lots of questions, not in a weird way. Again, like, don't be weird. That was our motto for a while. Just don't be weird. Be a human. But be genuinely curious, be respectful, show people, that you do genuinely care by listening. And then, you know, helping to sort of like ask questions that point the blame where it should be pointed, which is at our systems and our bosses. Not at our coworkers, and, you know, maybe make a plan to win, or maybe just make a plan to check back in or, you know, connect at some other point if you're not at that stage of your campaign.
That's our episode. Please rate us or leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. If you're listening to us on Podbean at labornotespodcast.podbean.com, please download our episode. The Labor Notes Podcast is produced by Daniel Smith, Sindhu Sundar, and myself. Our title music was written and performed by our coworker, Keith Brower Brown. See you next week. Solidarity, y'all.